Elon Musk praises Netflix and their crackdown. Is it really a crackdown? Or are they just kind of coming up with a policy that says, you know what, if you're one of our many woke employees and you don't like the content we're producing, you can quit. Man, could you imagine if they would have done this 6 months ago? No, the narrative has changed, hasn't it? It's changed just a scooch. You've got Elon Musk saying, I'll buy Twitter. I'll restore free speech. It's just wild how quickly these storylines have changed. The big one to me is like Disney. They went down that woke, just that whole thing, and they went really hard, right? It's like Disney. You used to not want to watch Disney because it was just a show for like kids and family, fun, and it was good, wholesome quality. I like my movies R-rated. How about that? I like a little violence in my movies. Nah, it's just the majority of action movies that I like, or the topics that I like. They don't have to be NC-17, but I'm not going to watch a G-rated movie either, unless it's with one of my cousin's kids and I'm absolutely forced to. Hey, Uncle Sean, here's what we're doing. Oh, God. All right. But after this, we're watching Scarface. You know what I mean? So Elon Musk, he's praising Netflix, crackdown on woke employees. And because Elon Musk is a billionaire and does whatever the F he wants, including smoking weed on Joe Rogan. You remember that? Smoked weed just openly on Joe Rogan. Stock goes down by 5%. Oh, geez, you got a guy smoking weed. He's one of the world's wealthiest men. What's going to happen? Is the earth going to stop spinning? Probably. Let's sell off our Tesla shares and tomorrow we'll buy them back. We'll buy on the dip. So crazy. Elon Musk praised Netflix for taking a stand against woke employees who have tried to censor and silence those who offend their sensibilities. Think about the whole Joe Rogan thing. He had some stuff in there that was not considered appropriate. It's stuff he said forever ago, though. And he said like the N-word in the context of somebody else saying it, which if you're a white dude, just don't say that word. Don't say the C word either. It's not going to work out. There's a lot of words you just shouldn't say. Anything that's like hateful towards somebody else because of a race issue. No, don't do it. Just don't do it. But when, myself included, when you've got just this big catalog, I don't know how many videos we've got, over 1,000. When you've got that many videos out, you're going to probably say a few things that if people want to go through all your content and nitpick, they're going to find stuff and then they're going to say, racist. He's a racist. We knew it all along. He's a racist. They'll take, one thing out of one context and another thing and splice them together. And then you've got this, this endless, oh man, that guy he's not a good human being. He's a terrible human being. What's the deal there? We got past that whole Joe Rogan and he's still on Spotify, right? Interesting. In spite of like just some ridiculously over the hill rock stars, I'm taking my content off, and then they put it back on quietly. Now, not making as much money as we were before. This really didn't do what I thought it would do, and nobody else really joined me. Hey, Spotify, could you put our content back on? And I want to get paid. We need to pay those bills. I've got medical bills coming up. My heart isn't what it used to be. That was Neil Young. I'm not saying the heart thing, but old. They got to get paid. So, whatever. In a corporate memo on last Friday, the streaming platform reportedly told its employees it will not censor specific artists or voices, even if employees consider the content to be harmful. Well, we've got an issue with Netflix losing, a couple million subscribers. They've got stuff going on. Subscribers are down. Uh-oh. If you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you, the memo said. We may need to release you to an opportunity where you can be a butterfly and spread your wings and fly over to the woke get broke category of content creation. So it seems like, majority of media is wildly left wing. It just is. I mean, the slant, I mean, you don't have to spend too much time. If you watch a lot of news and can kind of pick apart the stories, majority of the media is wildly left, it's left of center. And then you've got a handful of channels which are just known. All right, they're going to have some right-wing content on there. And it's because they're conservative. And you get stories here and then you don't get stories here. But Netflix is saying, hey, we're going to create a bunch of content and you might not like some of it. Like Joe Rogan, he's got some guys on there on Spotify. He's got, folks from the right, folks from the left. And people are all worked up. Well, he hasn't had enough people who've provided the opposite experience of what the other guest had. It's like, okay, but not everything is so that we can have equality everywhere. Sometimes you just have stuff go down and you got to look at it and go, all right, that wasn't good. Or all right, that was pretty good. Let's keep going there. Netflix is basically saying, we're going to do what we're going to do. You, if you're really woke, you might be upset because there's always just this handful of employees who, are the proverbial squeaky wheel and they get listened to because it's like, there's that screeching sound. What is that? Oh, what are you guys saying? Well, Netflix is saying, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear you out, but we may want to release you to an opportunity where you can fly those wings away from here and to somewhere else. The big thing to me that I see through all this is get woke, go broke. Yeah, where did we see that? You see that with the NFL? Have you followed the NFL, the Kaepernick story at all? That guy has tried his best to get back into the NFL. He had a workout here in Seattle. I mean, why wouldn't he have a workout here in Seattle? He's been out of the league for like 6 years. I mean, he's physically probably capable of playing, but is he mentally capable of playing? I mean, who knows? At this point, without putting him in an NFL game and say, let's see what you do. And there's not much of a chance there. I don't think he gets a chance. And it's just a big debate. He's too much of a hot potato. But you've got stories like that going on, right? If somebody was really, really worked up about being really woke, they'd take a run on him. But you know what management says? Yeah, that's not a moneymaker. No can do. No can do. Because we've seen what happens when, and how about the NBA? How about their ratings during their wokest season? How'd that go? Yeah, not that great, right? Not that great. A lot of people stopped watching professional sports from that standpoint. I've kind of given up. If I see that kind of stuff going on, I'm like, you know what? I'm here to watch sports. If I wanted to see wokeness, I'd go watch mainstream media. How about that, right? So on Sunday, Musk took to Twitter to commend the memo, saying Netflix may not be the best place for you. May not be the best place for you. Those are some words. You want to make the person that you're firing feel like this is a good thing for them and that their personal development is going to be able to soar after said firing. That gets you off the hook as the boss, right? Those are some inside tips. Make the person feel good about what just happened to them. Down the road, they'll think, that asshole just fired me and I didn't even know it was coming. Interesting. By then, it's too late, right? That's just how this works. Good move by @Netflix, Musk tweeted. Netflix has a new message. This is a tweet from Tom Fitton. Netflix has a new message for its employees. Be prepared to work on content you may not agree with. What? Shocking. We're not going to agree. We're an employee and we're not going to agree with everything that the company is doing. A massive company like Netflix who creates all kinds of content. And if you don't like that, you can quit. Interesting. I find it, and he also cites Elon Musk seems to be having an impact beyond Twitter. The Twitter storyline being Elon's going to buy it. And there's been a heavy-handed push of content on Twitter. Same thing, Facebook. I mean, you've got the disinformation campaigns actively operating. And they state that they're there to, keep extremists off their platforms and keep it safe for everybody. But in the end, it just kind of seems like conservative voices just get censored. So there doesn't seem to be any censoring of people that, aren't at that stage of where they're at as a human being or whatever. So you've got, you got just stuff going on, but the sway seems to be a little bit in a different direction right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with get woke, go broke. Others also commented on the Netflix memo. I'm sure they still want to be woke deep down inside, but they came to the realization that wokeness equals brokenness when tons unsubscribed and the stock tanked. Well, there's that, right? And at the bottom line, corporate America want to love to engage the newest, shiniest toy, right? And at one point it was wokeness. Oh, this is, we can get behind this. And every single company came out and did their, we support this, we support that. Until they realized, oh yeah, this is just a very small percentage of our consumers that believe in this. Maybe we should go back to being not quite so woke. And that's where we sit right now. That's my opinion. That's where we sit right now. Because you don't have a lot of companies coming out and supporting Black Lives Matter, do you? Interesting. How come? Well, there's lots of stories to that, right? I mean, there's a lot of information to that. I have followed that storyline very closely because I find it interesting, because I view Black Lives Matter as an emerging business, and I love to follow business development. So stick with me here. So Black Lives Matter. All of a sudden, they get about $90 million of cash infusion. Could you imagine a startup going from just bootstrap, meaning they've got nothing, they got an idea, they got a couple of people willing to spearhead the idea, and then, a few years later, they've still got nothing, and then something happens, and all of a sudden, they got an infusion of $90 million, and they have no infrastructure to handle that kind of cash infusion. Well, Amazon's taken them off the ability to raise funds. California and Washington attorney generals, I believe it was attorney generals in both states, basically said, hey, we're going to need to see your 990s. And those are the nonprofit paperwork you got to fill in and sign to the IRS. And then Black Lives Matter said, oh, that's triggering to talk about 990s, because they didn't have the infrastructure to handle all of that money coming in. So they don't know where their money is. I mean, who knows? And then they had they're buying some houses. Those optics were horrible, whether they bought the homes legit or they're using them legit, having some birthday parties there. I could care less. If you can, provide a paper trail to the IRS, all right, okay, I'll hear what you have to say. But if you can't and you get hung up on that, which Black Lives Matter has been hung up on that, then you've got some issues and you're going to have to deal with that. But I think where corporate America is right now is they're like, yeah, we're probably not going to go down that direction anymore. And the whole wokeness thing, we're not really going to say that we're anti-woke anymore. We're just not as woke outwardly as we used to be. Maybe they're still really woke, like this tweet says. They want to be woke deep down inside, but they came to the realization, we're not making much money doing this. The number of people who are consumer base, these numbers are not penciling. Jimmy down in accounting said, that's a no-go. So we got to switch directions. We're going to create the content that we think is going to appeal to our mass audience, and we're going to go with that. And if you don't like it, we're going to release you to a greater opportunity where you can, spread those wings and fly away from here. How about Dave Chappelle? He's one of those guys that I find very funny because he makes fun of himself as much as anybody, but he kind of calls it the way he sees it. And everybody's like, you can't say that. And he drops the N-word like there is no tomorrow. And what can people say? They can't tell him no. They can't tell him no. And he got bum rushed on stage. I mean, that guy's a funny entertainer, but he said as much as anybody about the whole wokeness and, just pretty wild. Human rights activist Ann Hersey also added, common sense is coming back to Netflix. So now we're on this bandwagon of, I told you so. I told you the woke wouldn't work out. I told you you'd go broke. if you were woke. Yeah, well, okay. So there's that, right? Businessman and political commentator Vivek Ramaswamy called the move representative of companies being forced to return to excellence over politics. We had that summer of 2020 and everybody was on the bandwagon. Everybody was on that bandwagon. I mean, one of the podcasts I just finished was Lori Lightfoot had some massive violence last weekend. Massive violence in Chicago. 33 people shot, 6 killed. 5 killed. Weekend before, 25 people shot, 6 people killed. And so one of the shootings this past weekend happened in a park. So Millennium Park in Chicago, downtown Chicago. So the solution for all these shootings is to take the 11 o'clock curfew, which has been in place since 1992, and move that to 10 p.m. That's the solution. I found that interesting as well. Yeah, it's probably not going to be very effective. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. But during the summer of 2020, Mayor Lori Lightfoot we're going to defund the police department by $80 million. All righty. And now fast forward to May of 2022. And you know who's going to enforce moving the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock curfew for those of you under 18, unless you're with a responsible adult? 11 to 10. You know who's going to enforce that? The police. Interesting. Coming back to excellence over politics, or just profitability over politics. That's kind of the way I see it, right? In the company Memo, Netflix noted that viewers' differing tastes present both an opportunity and a challenge. We support the artistic expression of the creators we choose to work with, Netflix said. We let viewers decide what's appropriate for them versus having Netflix censor specific artists or voices. Do you think Disney will come up with that? Because I read at one point in time, they wanted to have half of their content include a character from the alphabet people. You know, LGBTQ, all those plus. They wanted to have half their content have a character from that community. It's like, okay, is your audience, this is family-oriented. I mean, we're not supposed to say family anymore, are we? What are we going to use instead of family? I've taken these HUD classes where you're working on not saying things that ostracize people in real estate marketing. It's about the extent of my wokeness. But you're supposed to not use exclusionary terms. I think family is one of them. Anywho, is Disney, are they going to keep going down this road, or are they so far in with this wokeness that that to me is that could be a business ending. That could be a down note. I mean, there's so many content creators out there, even a great company like Disney that used to be a great company like Disney with its original founder. He had some different view. I mean, he thought some different things that in today's political environment, wouldn't be considered quite so woke, right? So even with a company like Disney, are they going to hang in there and just go with this woke stuff? I don't know, but I thought it was interesting that Netflix said, well, yeah, not so much. And Spotify just kind of held their own. They had a bunch of content creators who said, no, we need you to take off Joe Rogan, the #1 podcast in the world, from your platform because, wokeness. And that basically had no impact. Joe Rogan gains 2 million subscribers during that period. Get woke, go broke. But if you give people what they want, you will grow. And if you provide a platform that, I think Joe Rogan does a great job of providing equal access to both sides. I really do. He's had some more people on that are probably considered right-wing nut jobs. And that's because he's one of the few that'll probably, a major platform that'll have them on. Everybody else is too afraid. Oh, no, they're anti-woke. This can't go well for us. Crazy, right? So what will this mean to you and I as the consumer as far as Netflix goes? What can we expect content creation wise to come out that's reflective of this? Because they're obviously saying this for a reason. Hey, you know, you might not like what we're doing down the road here. What's that going to be? I don't know. Stay tuned right here on News for Reasonable People, and we'll talk about it. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Until then, bye for now.